بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم ألهمنا مراشد أمورنا وأعذنا من شرور أنفسنا. In the month of Ramadan, again and again we would hear that one of the unique gifts that Allah Ta'ala has given this ummah in the month of Ramadan is suffidatish shayateen wa maradatul jinn. That the worst of the shayateen have been chained in this month. But that means when the day of Eid came, they were also making Eid. Because after Eid came to an end, Ramadan came to an end, when we got out, they also got out. And when we were so happy on Eid day, they were also so happy. So normally if a criminal escapes, when they put the article in the newspaper, they will put it like a warning. Very dangerous criminals. If you see them, don't approach. Armed. They have taken the iman of so many already. They can take yours. When it was mentioned in Ramadan, they locked. And in Ramadan, what the environment we found. Then we understand that they do have an effect when they're out. Now how do we see them? How do we notice them? How do we protect ourselves from them? Hazrat Shah Hakim Muhammad Akhtar Sahib Rahimullah, many a time he would mention the incident which was narrated by Molana Rahimullah, where he would say you have to learn to do something for yourself within you. You cannot always rely on what's around you. He said, because a time will come that the very things which you trusted around you will start knocking you. At that time, if you yourself have nothing. So he mentioned a certain king's minister said to him, that the amount of wealth and resources we have, there's only one thing missing in this fort, this castle, that we don't have our own water. So the king said to him, there's no need. Because I got water coming from 5 sources. From 5 different areas, water comes into my castle. To spend so much effort to get more water, where will this water ever come to an end? But what he never understood is when the attack is made, the attack is normally made on what you depend on. So Molana Rahimullah says when the enemy came, they only had to look for the sources of the water. The fort was such a unique fort. But all they had to find was the outside sources. Because they understood that the castle is fed from outside. So if you can stop the outside or you can spoil the outside, there's no need to enter the fort. The very water that goes in the fort will kill them. Or no water will go. He said when the enemy found the water sources, either it was to impurify it, to dirty it, to make it filthy and dirty, that when they do drink from it, that itself will kill them. Or to just stop it, that they can't see. He says, as that water started stopping, the minister said to the king, how many years I told you, make your own effort. Then Molana Rahimullah would mention that Allah Ta'ala gave us so many unique outside sources, which is called our senses. He says, but do not rely on your senses. Because a day will come when the enemy will use that very thing that you relied on. The things that you will start seeing will not always be the best. So we entered into that environment today, where the man says you have to close your eye. Wherever you open, you are not seeing anything. There is no Kaaba in front of us. Now we are not seeing Quran. Now wherever man is looking, he's seeing poison. Wherever he's hearing music. Whatever is tasting, our food has been contaminated in and out. The entire environment has been made. Whatever he smells, that perfume that has been created today is to create desire, to create feelings, to make a man like an animal. Whatever contact he has, that entire outside world today came for the man. The very thing that he trusted, my food, that food became his poison. The very eye that he said will show me the way, that eye started taking him off the way. So at that time the minister would have said, so many years you had. If you could only create within you. Then Molana Rahimullah mentioned in the unique fort of man, there is one part that's yours, it's called your heart. He said, if your heart can be made, it will source water directly from Almighty Allah. He said, that's your borehole. It will be so sweet, it will be so unique, it will be so well established that you'll never have to look, is there connection or no connection, is there battery or no battery. In darkness it will be light. In every environment it will just show you a way out. It will be your furqan, it will be your guide. He said, but make the effort on you. Do not ever rely on your outside. We entered a time where South Africa, everyone said, Alhamdulillah, what a land we got. There's a school, wonderful education. There's a madrasa, wonderful education. I look after my children, I keep them in the house. I don't send them out with the wrong company. For many years it worked. We could control our company, our environment. Today we reach that part that no one got control. Even that father who says, my daughter has been homeschooled. A time comes where that very father comes in front and he's crying. He says, what did I do wrong? He says, what did I do wrong? My child never met anyone outside. Because today everything came inside. That phone came, that internet came. Now there is no that I can kick away the environment. That entire outside world came in. If that heart is connected, a lot of people say, how do you chase away shayateen? How do you chase away darkness? The answer is darkness does not get chased away. Wherever they'll file a hole, darkness will enter. But if light is on, there's no darkness. To be able to make ourselves such that we become protected. Because we can't push away the outside world. So I will give you one example to understand what I'm trying to say. Then I will give you an amal that you must make, I must make. And it is such a simple amal, but it is so important in our life, especially in the time we live today. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, you will find that time where a man will want to lock up his wife and his children. He will want to lock them up. We never thought, lock up your child is still understood. Lock up your wife. We never thought man will ever find that time. Today we found a time like that. That he knows when I go to sleep, I cannot trust my own spouse also, forget my children. Can't trust them. He said, you will find the time where that person at night, the world knows him as a believer. In the morning, he will not be a believer. Open kufr. So in the world nowadays of medicine, there's a sentence, they say prevention is better than cure. In the world of Islam is the same thing. To be able to speak to a young child, girl or boy, they're listening to a bayan and they have not yet fallen into the trap. It's so easy. They will say, Jazakallah for the bayan, it made sense. And to be able to speak to a person who's already in the trap is not easy at all. That person cries, that person begs, can you pull me out of this? But to pull someone out of an addiction is not easy at all. One is the man who hasn't got cancer and is eating healthy. He's making dua and he's trying. He said, call it try and cry. He's making his effort and he's making dua, Allah save me, Allah save me. One is that man who comes to you and he says, I got stage 3, stage 4 cancer. It's gone into my spine. Make dua for me. May Allah save us all. For the one, the dua is very easy. Allah save you and both smile. For the other one, both cry. Prevention is much easier than cure. So I will give you an example. It is an example of animals. But Allah Tabaruk Ta'ala so many a time in Quran has told us that in everything you will find a lesson. In animals you will find lessons. So this is an example of a lion, a leopard, a wild animal when it goes for its prey. Whoever saw, whoever heard about it, whoever went to the Kruger, it will be something you can relate with. When that lion walks into the power of the lion, every animal understands. It's regarded as the king of the jungle. In this world that we are living today, me and you must become aware that there is something called might, power. And that power Almighty Allah gave it over. Like how He gave it to the lion in the jungle. In this world He gave it to the shayateen. They are not anything weak for me and you. For me and you, Almighty Allah, when He described Nabi Adam alayhi salam in paradise. He says that remember shaitan pulled your father and your mother out of paradise. In his trickery, he was able to do such things and show them such a story. Allah Tabarakala, when he mentioned, he took them out. It was to say to me and you, don't think it's easy to deal with him. Innahu yarakum huwa wa qabiluhu. He and his army are looking at you. When that lion walks in, the first lesson from the lion we learn is that the lion will blend in with the environment. You will never notice the lion, especially the animal that's coming to drink. The lion will never show itself. In today's time, everyone wants to see the enemy. Everyone wants to see Shaitan. Everyone wants to see Dajjal. He says, when he comes out, I'll spit in his face. The problem is, as long as he hasn't come out, you're not spitting in the face. But as long as you don't see it, it doesn't mean always it's not there. That lion will never show itself. It will blend in with an environment. Today the world of shayateen blended in with our culture. It blended in with education, so the father pays so much to send his son to university. But not one day does that mother and father make dua for protection, that in that university you might get grabbed. Because it blended in. When I was in England now, so one law has been made that from grade 1, they must now start teaching children. And someone said that normally whatever England does, then 10 years later South Africa gets the same. From grade 1 they must teach a child that there's nothing wrong in one house for John and Peter to be husband and wife. But amazing how they did it. The first, they put to the parents that it is not good that your children are becoming zombies on the computer. What a good thing it was. What we were saying for years, they said it. They said they must start reading again. So every parent was so happy, get my child to read. They said we can create incentives. Books have been made. A child from grade 1, time must be taken out. They must read. They must read the books that they brought them. They brought such poisonous books and they made it law that for the sake of your child, he must read this book. Amongst those books, there's a book about a lovely, happy family. There's a Hindu family, husband and wife, but both are husbands. And then there's a Muslim family also. They will have one, Zayd and Umar. They husband and wife. And their 2 children. And I heard that, I'm asking my friend, like, where the 2 children came from. They got 2 children. They're living happily. When that child has to read that. And amazing the world is, while we were in the car, so one person said that, you'll always know it's dirty. No matter what the child reads, the child will understand. The child will not understand. A 1-year-old, if he reads that, he will start regarding it as completely normal. Completely normal. So another person then said a nice sentence. He said, for years in the schools and university, they were feeding us poison. But no one ever read dua for protection. He says, at least this happened, the whole world woke up. He said, finally, at least they saw the poison. He said, but I just feel it's too late. If you don't see the enemy, it doesn't mean it's not there, it blends in. They have blended in, they created their education system. My daughter wants to become a doctor. The issue is not so much the intermingling, that must not be there. The issue is not so much she might meet one boy and they might run away, that might be there. A bigger issue is so much of poison is being put in that mind. That child, when they graduate, they sometimes come out as atheists, only they don't want to say it on the tongue. In the Christian world, they say today 90% of the Christians are not Christians. We are unfortunately today finding in the Muslim world that thing happening also. That when you sit with that person, he just says that I'm wearing what you find because my family will be shocked. But I don't really believe in this. There's a lot of poison out there. The lion blends in. The grass and the skin goes hand in hand. As that animal starts coming down, where the lion will go look for the prey. It will look where it understands the animal has to come. Me and you, where we have to go, that's where Shaitan comes. If I'm addicted to my phone, he'll come to me through the phone. If I need my school, he'll come to me through school. If I have to go to the market to earn, he'll come to me there. Wherever I go, he'll wait. Where I frequent, that is where the animal will wait. And as the lion waits so patiently, the shayateen also wait very patiently. They target. Now the animals have taught us a lesson. That as they start coming down the mountain, you will see the mother animal, father animal, they start looking around. They taught me and you a message which was mentioned in Quran, إِنَّهُ يَرَاكُمْ هُوَ وَقَبِيلُهُ. That remember, Shaitan and his army are looking at you from angles you don't know. That animal taught us we must also start looking around. If you start looking around, you will see so many shaitani signs. You will see one eye. You will see a horn of a goat. You will see falcons. You will see so many shayateen signs. But if you don't look, as that animal starts coming down, it starts sniffing in the air. Can I get a scent, a smell? That lion will normally position himself where when the wind will blow, it must not blow his scent. So he will come from the other direction. That animal, after it smells no danger, it looks no danger, even then the animal doesn't feel there's no danger. As it goes down, it goes with that fear. It goes with that fear. One thing that happened to me and you, we became oblivious of this fear. You get two grades of jinnat. You get the lower grade. The lower grade makes noise. He's like that unskilled hunter. He's like a baby cub. Or he's like a baby leopard. As soon as he saw the buck, he started jumping. Unskilled. So the buck saw him and ran. That small one still has to learn. The baby jinn do come in our house. They grade 1. They're not the main. They come to trouble. They irritate. One person is lying down. They're holding on his hands. He can't get up for a while. He feels something troubling him here. Another person says, I got a headache. Then when Amil comes, the Amil just walks past him and he says, hey, I can sense heavy stuff around you. That person becomes so worried, so worried. Then he goes to an Amil and the Amil gives him so many ta'wizat. When you enter his house, it's well protected. Well protected. It's very good that you are reading. But what happened is that man, when he saw the baby cub moving, because there was movement, he became so worried. He saw the fan moving. That jinn is not going to harm your akhirat. The most that jinn will harm is your dunya. It will give you heavy headaches, you'll need panado. It will give you hand aches. May Allah save us, it might even give cancer. May Allah save us from this world. But it will never harm a person's iman. And then you get another grade, a very high class of shayateen, they go unnoticed. Min haythu la tarawnahum, you will not see them but they are around. Why that animal knows there's a lion around? Because every day it saw one of its friends gone. Every day when it went to drink, it found one pulled back. Me and you, every day we will hear that uncle's son fell in drugs. That auntie's daughter, something happened to her. When you will hear that one dua you make in Arabic, you can make it. You make it in English, you make it in your own language, you make it in your heart. Alhamdulillahi alladhi afana mimma ibtalahu bihi. I thank you, Allah, you saved me from what he has been afflicted with. By saying that there, it means I'm not immune from the attack also. When that animal comes, that lion grabs one, when the other animals are running, each one looks back and he says, it could have been me. Every day when we hear one fell, think of this. It can be me. It can be my child. It can be my son, my daughter. It can be my wife. At that time you will see one thing will come in our life. It's called dua. It is called dua. There is an attack taking place. And a very huge attack. And many are being grabbed by the day. Do not be oblivious to the attack. That lion will look, that animal will come. The animal will look around. When they finally go to drink and the lion feels it's time. But one thing the lion will do before it makes an attack, it will scan. It will look at every animal and it will try to find which is the weakest. Which one got a lump? Which one's heart is not beating so well? Which one got some impediment? There's a mother with a baby, so it will say, if I go here, the mother will not know where she run, the baby won't know where to run. It will target the weak. It taught a message to me and you, if you can make yourself strong, then the target doesn't come so fast. You don't become the target, your daughter doesn't become the target, your son doesn't become the target. Because when the shayateen look, then they will see that this one is strong, let's look somewhere else. So how do you make yourself strong? So that's where the animal kingdom had to give up now. The most they could teach us is look around. And then they could teach smell in the air. After that they could not teach us that when you are going down to drink in the park, there's an animal stronger than the lion. If you can somehow make connection with that animal, there is no animal. They could not take us one step further. Quran was going to teach us this. Quran was going to teach us, and the Sunnah was going to teach us that to enter into the protection of an Allah before the attack takes place. To be able to put my whole family in a tablet, so that when the shayateen look, immediately they look away. They find a screen around, that if you run into it, you'll get pushed off. If you blow into it, the blow will fall back on you. To be able to put a screen. When Isa alayhi salatu wassalam's granny gave birth, Maryam radiallahu anha was born. A girl is so vulnerable, that environment which they were, the Banu Israel, every day was getting affected by the world of the Roman. Every day someone of the Bani Israel was going into science and the world of science, the world of high medicine. She gave birth. She was thinking, if it's a boy, I'll leave him in the masjid. Make him work for the masjid, he'll be protected. She gave birth to a girl. She was so worried that how will I look after my daughter? She said, وَإِنِّي سَمَّيْتُهَا Maryam. And the second thing she said, I named the child Maryam. At the birth of the child, she said, وَإِنِّي سَمَّيْتُهَا مَرْيَمَ وَإِنِّي أُعِيذُهَا. He said, and I have put her and her children, O Allah, إِنِّي أُعِيذُهَا بِكَ وَذُرِّيَّتَهَا مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. That, O Allah, she and her children, I put them in a tablet of yours. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained the power of this dua. He said, every child, when the child is born, shaitan pokes the child, as though to say the match is on. He said, Maryam radiallahu anha, on her birth, shaitan was not even around that poke. Even the poke he was not. And when Isa alayhi salam comes in the narration, that Isa alayhi salam was pure, his mother was just as pure. Isa alayhi salam walked protected, his mother walked protected. She was not a Nabi, but she was able to live a life like a Nabi. But why did Quran mention the dua? When the mother made the dua, I put her, O Allah, in your protection. Almighty Allah showed, I accepted. فَتَقَبَّلَهَا رَبُّهَا بِقَبُولٍ حَسَنٍ. Your Allah took her. وَأَنْبَتَهَا نَبَاتًا حَسَنًا. He grew up. وَكَفَّلَهَا Zakaria. He made the environment for her. Everything happens from the heavens, but to put that. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam then taught, said Ibrahim alayhi salam would look at his two sons, Ismail and Ishaq alayhi salam, and he would make this dua for them, that, Oh Allah, I've asked your protection from the shayateen, from the evil eye. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would say, I make the same dua for my grandsons, Hassan and Hussein radiyallahu anhu. Why he was doing that? To say even the children of a Nabi is not protected from the attack. Where am I and your children? Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would leave his house, he would make dua, Oh Allah, I seek protection, I seek that I get attacked from behind, from in front, from the right, from the left. I get pulled from under. So much they would make this dua, protection from the shayateen, protection from the shayateen. Then Sahaba radiallahu anh say that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam's isti'adas, seeking Allah's protection, was so many. But they say when قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ and قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ were revealed. This qul means say. The Sahabi radiallahu anh says, where I learned this? He says, I came to visit the Nabi of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam on a very dark night, thundery night. In the Arab lands when there was no lights, in the whole world when there was no lights, at night if you had to go out, there was always a fear you will just put your leg on a snake and you can get bit. You can fall in a hole. That Sahabi came in that condition. There was no moonlight. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw him, appreciated, you came in this condition. He said, Qul, say. He was going to teach him a dua. That after this, if you read this dua, even if you walk in the darkness, you will be protected. But he never only meant physical darkness. He said, Yakfika min kulli shar. It will suffice you from every spiritual darkness also. That after this, whichever darkness you walk in, you will be the light, darkness will move away from you. He said, say, the Sahabi said, what must I say, radiallahu an? Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. He said, read these two surahs 3 times. In that Allah will make you yourself that light. Me and you need to use this qul. Qul means say. A'udhu bi Rabbi is the same dua which the mother of Maryam radiallahu anha made. U'idhuha bika. I put the child in your protection. When I have to say it, I will say, A'udhu bi Rabbil falaq. I enter into the protection of that Allah who makes the morning light break darkness. See, every day when I go out in the morning, we call it dawn. Dawn means when there's full darkness in the sky and a small light starts cutting through. No matter how strong the darkness is, it can never go against the command of my Allah. When Allah says be, light comes and the darkness just moves away. I say in that Rabb who every day breaks the darkness of the sky with light, I want the protection of that Allah. So whatever darkness there is, wherever I walk, I will be that light and darkness must move. Min sharri ma khalaq, from the evil of whatever has been created. Whatever has been created means your new phones, your new computers, your new cars, everything. The whole surah is to enter in this protection. It is such a unique protection. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam taught us a dua. That dua was on the heights of eloquence. He said, "O Allah, I seek protection from you also, O Allah." Because if Allah becomes angry, one poet said so unique. He said, "Hai narazgi jiski dozakh se barkar." There is an Allah whose anger is even worse than Jahannam. Usi zaat ki bas riva mangta hu. He says, I'm seeking protection from Jahannam. I have to seek protection from the anger of that Allah. If Allah becomes angry, even if I'm in paradise, my paradise will become hell. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam thought, what a dua. He said, "Oh Allah, I seek protection from you also." The protection from Allah where? He said, in you, O Allah. That I ask you to protect protection around me, such a protection that I can't even walk into something that makes you angry with me. وَأَعُوذُ بِكَ مِنْكَ. O Allah, I seek protection from you, in you. It is the only one place that we got. It's a tablet. When this tablet is formed around a person, may Allah Tabarak Ta'ala give it to me, give it to you, give it to your wives, give it to your children. Create this tablet. Then when they go in the environments, may Allah Tabarak Ta'ala make us light, make them light. It is like a bubble moving. Wherever that bubble will move, things will just move. Ulama have written that in the time when Musa alayhi salatu wassalam went on a journey to visit a person called Khidr, then there was one fish. That fish they had already eaten from that fish. That fish was dead. There was a meeting point where Musa alayhi salam was told, when you will see the fish, a sign with the fish. So Musa alayhi salam was resting. His khadim at that time noticed some water entered into that. They call it the water of life. Whatever water it was, when it entered, it hit that fish. So in the basket, the fish started jumping, moving. And then with a lot of strength now, because it got water of life, that fish jumped out. It hit the lid, jumped, and it went into the water. Now normal, that was itself a miracle. But bigger miracle than that, as soon as it went in the water became a tunnel for the fish. Quran has discussed this here. So the water becomes a tunnel. Now the water is not touching the fish. Wherever the fish is moving, the water around it becomes a tunnel. And the khadim of Musa alayhi salam is looking at that thing moving like that. Now how long that fish remained in that water, in that tunnel? Why a tunnel? It's supposed to go in water. Had that fish gone in water, after that one day one whale maybe would have come. And that whale would have said, what a lovely fish. Or maybe one day one fisherman would have caught that fish. And if he had to eat that fish, then that fish had the water of life, he'll get life. Suddenly he's an old man and suddenly his wife will find Junior is born again. So no one was going to eat that fish. No whale was going to catch that fish. Imam Qurtubi rahimullah, who wrote his famous kitab on tafsir, He writes that from the favors Allah gave him, he himself was able to see this fish. But when was Musa alayhi salam's era? And when was his era? How many? Over 1,000, good 1,000 something years must have passed. Said he saw the fish, it jumped up for him. And when it jumped up, he saw that one part was still eaten from. That part that was eaten was still the same. And that fish was full of life. Now they write now, whatever the reason was for that tunnel, he left a message for the world. That when Almighty Allah wants to protect a person, even one fish can get a surrounding tablet around it. The whole world will not be able to touch that fish. One fish, even if half of it is gone, the whole world will not be able. Me and you, if somehow we can create our tablet around us. Prevention is much better than cure. When that lion grabs on that animal, now that baby animal has only been taught your last hope is make a sound or act like you're dead. If you act like you're dead, maybe the lion will just let loose and then you run. Or make if you make a sound, maybe your mother might hear you. Maybe it's a buffalo. Maybe the whole herd will come, but it's all maybe. Maybe they'll come. By the time they come, maybe they'll push the lion, maybe they won't. 3/4 of the time they're not going to come. But that's your last hope. But look at Quran, Allah Tabarak Ta'ala gave us also one hope. Allah Tabarak Ta'ala said, وَإِمَّا يَنْزَغَنَّكَ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ نَزْغٌ. That if you find that you do get caught, you do come under the bite, you do fall in the trap, فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ. At that time you also make a groan. But your groan is, oh Allah, I'm caught, pull me out. إِنَّهُ هُوَ السَّمِيعُ. That buffalo baby, when he cries, he doesn't know whether his mother is hearing him or not. Allah Tabarak Ta'ala said, understand your Allah is listening. Understand your Allah knows. In that condition, that buffalo, even if he gets saved, he'll die after 2 days. But a man, even in the trap, if he asks, oh Allah, I want to enter into this thing. Even in that condition, we have found how many people got pulled out. How many? But to enter in this bubble, may Allah Tabarak Ta'ala bring us all. How to enter? It is called try and it is called cry. Alhamdulillah, we all trying. The maktab is called trying. The alims are called trying. Hifz class is called trying. Second thing is called crying. To cry to Almighty Allah. Cry with قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. Read it with feeling. 3 times each surah. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam then would blow on his hand. Then he would start with the front of the body and he would rub. He would rub the entire body. Aisha radiallahu anha says, then he would rub the back as far as the hands would go. By doing this here, he was putting a tablet, like you call it balm. Put something around you. A lot of people say, what ta'weez can I use for my child? So go put it in your child also. Rub it around him. And if you want to, after you read, you can rub your wife also. Rub it on her, she'll wake up, she'll ask, what's happening? All your life you never rubbed her. You can even say, I always knew there was a shaitan in you. I'm trying to get it out. Whatever you want to say, but start this. This is a unique amal, this. It's a unique amal, and for the era that we're living, we have lost that hope where we can push away evil. Evil today has now come. It's entered my pocket, it entered the masjid. When one person in a bayan, he said that there was a time where I begged people, come sit for i'tikaf. He said, now I am begging people, oh my brothers, in i'tikaf, please do not do that thing which can take your iman away. He said, I begged them to come to the masjid. Now I'm telling them, I feel you rather be out of the masjid. He said, in i'tikaf you are doing certain things that I used to shout the students before and say, don't make noise in the masjid, the angels will get angry. He says, today I'm speaking to old people and I'm telling them, I don't know how to tell you what you're looking at in the masjid while you're in i'tikaf. I don't think Allah is happy. I don't think. We are living in such a time that in the haram, in front of the Kaaba, sometimes a man might decide to look right in front of the Kaaba, he might be seeing something. At that time which Almighty Allah could say, yeah. So we cannot now anymore push away darkness. It is now time that my inside borehole must be made. This heart must be made. This protection must come around me. May Allah Tabarak Ta'ala, in the barakah of the Ramadan that passed, in the barakah of Quran, give it to me, give it to you.